What's up guys, it's Chris here, and in this module we're going to talk about how we can maximize your schedule for your time so that when we start getting into the work, we're going to know how to work backwards. Again, this unit is all about making accurate decisions and creating great foundational habits before we go on the journey. So I'm going to talk to you about something that I see. Initially it was a problem for me too when I first started going from a really regimented schedule as an employee into the entrepreneurial space. And I often see this come up for people who might have another full-time job. They might have part-time job while they're building their business, or you might have children, right? And even if you don't have any of those things going on, but you're finding yourself being unproductive, meaning if you ask yourself the question, I worked 14 hours, what did I get accomplished? So this is going to be for you. So we're going to talk about scheduling your day for effectiveness and focusing on what matters. And focus. If you're going to ask me one of the key attributes of a successful entrepreneur and really a high performer in general, one of the key attributes is focus. And when we talk about focus, what I like to define it as is me singularly trying to narrow my energy, my conscious awareness towards me delivering on my core competencies as an individual, my gifts, so to speak. We're going to talk about that in another unit. Especially when you're first getting started, we have to remember our capacity is going to be a little bit limited, meaning we're going to be learning a ton on this journey. And just like if you were to walk into the gym, you wouldn't go to the squat rack and just bust out 405 on the squat rack. Just like when you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to go out there and you're going to try to do speaking and coaching and all these things at once, because you're going to find yourself really struggling to get it all done. So our goal here is to have a nice set of priorities and to match our schedule to our energy. So, one of the biggest things here is I see that we don't match our energy to our day. So let's talk a little about the day and the 4 phases of the day first. So the 4 phases of the day look like this for me. I first start by looking at what is my natural rhythm. What is the best time for me to go to sleep and to wake up that matches my energy like I feel the best? For me, that time frame is I like to go to bed anywhere from 10 to 10:30. That's the end of my day. And that'll naturally get me up sometime between 5:30 and 6 a.m. So now I know what my range is. This is super important here, guys. So it matches my range. So here's the first step to mastering our schedule. What we're going to do is you should be using a program like Google Calendar. If that works out best for you, that's what I've been using for the last 4 years. And I like it because it's on my phone and I can just pop in there. So the first thing that I do is I like to set up my morning and evening routines. We're going to call this bookending our days. So this is our bookends. Just like a bookcase. So this is all about following the principle, controlling what we can control. So I have my morning routine, and this is scheduled into my calendar. And it's a recurring setup in my calendar, so I don't have to mess with it over and over again. So I go in here and I schedule this, and I make sure that this time is absolutely blocked off. Now, for me personally, I found over time that I don't do well when I connect with people before 9 or 10 o'clock. So I have a set time. Remember, you can control your time in here. I have a set time before I even connect with anybody. So this would be until about 10 o'clock. So we'll take this back. So this would say 5:30 till about 10 is my scheduled time. 5:30 to 10. And in this morning routine, this is all about taking care of me. So what I do in here is I do something for my mind. I read, I journal, reflect. I do something for my spirit, right? I'll meditate. And I do something for my body. I'll do breath work. And I'll walk maybe or work out for about 45 minutes. It's one of my 2 workouts. So this takes care of me. Now, the end of this, again, at 10 o'clock marks the beginning of my work day. So my work day is knocked off in my calendar as a block of time. And it starts from there. And I have a strong boundary at 7 p.m. That's my cutoff time. So 7 p.m. is the end of my cutoff time. So 7 p.m. And we'll talk a little about what I do in my work day, because I think this is important. I see a lot of people focused on a whole bunch of stuff. So you're gonna have resources that show you more about what I'm talking about here. But I focus in my day. I've already got my set priorities going, but I focus on what I call the ABCs of income producing activity. So in this day, I'm working on A level, B level, and C level activity. And ideally, as you're getting to know this, it's gonna be a new mindset shift. I wanna be doing 70% A level activity, 20% B, 10% C. What I mean by this is where my priorities go are level A activities, which are me actually in front of clients, potential clients, either selling, closing, following up, presenting proposals, anything that's relying, and the question here to ask is this impacting my bank account in my level A activity? So that's what I'm focused on level A. B is all about setting myself up for level A. So these would be things like adding people to my Facebook groups that I've talked to, connection calls, so it's like setting me up. These would be referral partner conversations. We'll talk about that later in the program. Conversations with referrals, people that are referring me business. This is setting up my strategy for my content plan, creating content, anything that sets me up for A-level activity. And then C, 10%, is maybe I'm learning something new. Right now I'm actually interested in learning about chatbots for Facebook and some other stuff. It's not really my zone of genius, but I'm interested in learning because I don't ever want to outsource something I don't at least know something about. So this is new information and long-term projects. Those are things like PDFs and guides and all this stuff that we focus on at the beginning of our business that don't really matter. And my focus is figuring out a strategy to get rid of this stuff. So I try to stay in A and B level activity because that's where the money is. Then at 7 o'clock, my hard stop is there because this is my balance point between me and my family. I have an area here that's about 30 minutes, and this is called Plan Tomorrow Today. And in planning tomorrow today, this really isn't this isn't complicated. I started doing this about 4 years ago, and it's been an anchor point for me. I'll actually show you what I do. Invest in a little printer paper. This is what I do. And I fold it. And what I do is I create an agenda for tomorrow. Now, I don't necessarily trust digital tools because what happens when we pick up our phone? We tend to want to go on social media and some other things. So what I do is I grab a sheet of paper, and on this sheet of paper on one side, I write down my morning routine, and I'll actually create little check boxes for it on the paper because nothing feels better than just crossing things off, feeling productive. So I will create my list, planning tomorrow today. So on my list, I'll have my morning routine. I'll have my financial targets. I'm always seeing my financial targets first thing in the morning when I look at this sheet and where I'm at towards this target. My third are any calls that I have, and you might be asking, Chris, why do you do so much extra work? I'll tell you why in a second, but this is crucial. Those who win honor the simple basics. Success is a refined study of the obvious. 4 is any appointments or connections. And then 5 are 3 priorities I have for the next day. 3 major priorities. Now, the reason I like this and why it works for me is because when I write this all out and I have the check boxes, this becomes my anchor point. What I mean by that is I'm now foundationally grounded in what's going on tomorrow. What I also know is is that as I'm winding down from my workday, this symbolically shuts my day off. So when I'm giving to my family, to my friends, to the people in my life, because you don't want to just be an entrepreneur all the time, because you can literally do this all day long, you're going to find yourself thinking about open tabs in the browser, so to speak, in your brain. I also know that when I do this, I feel like there's a symbolic end of my day, and then as I go to sleep, subconsciously, what I found is I begin working on some of these challenges while I'm sleeping, because your subconscious mind is open first thing in the morning and right before you go to sleep. So what ends up happening is this gets done and then I shut it off, right? Because I know to give the best to my family, I'm not going to resent my entrepreneurial journey. So this time frame is actually my time frame for relationships and for the people in my life. And I'll talk about like days of the week too. But I know that my energy here, when I do this appropriately and I'm rocking out the best way that I can, I know that my energy looks something like this. Almost perfect curve. And I won't have a dive in the middle of the day because I'll end up literally having enough energy through as I'm serving clients and doing all these various things. And it allows me to serve in my best way possible. I'm matching my energy to my workload. Now, some of y'all might do this exercise and you might see your day looking a little bit differently. Some questions you have to ask yourself as you're going through this are, well, let's talk about this. First and foremost, I know that if I end up extending my time to sleep, then I know on the back end, the next day, because every day feeds into the other, that I'm going to end up waking up a little bit later. It's going to crunch my day down and it might stress me out. So my goal here is to have practices in place that allow me to be reliable in what I'm accomplishing before I go to sleep and what I'm going to get done. So here's a couple things to consider. Some possible pitfalls for you to look out for. One is water intake. You want to be taking in anywhere from 80 to 120 ounces of water a day. Especially when I'm serving and stuff like that, I'm actually up on a board talking to people. I'm walking around, I'm standing, right? You don't want to be sedentary because it can also make you feel more lethargic. The second thing is consider naps. 15 minutes max. Somewhere in the day where you're going to start slouching, sometimes my secret weapon is a 15-minute nap. The third thing, consider how you work best. Some people work best when they have a task, they want to see it through to completion. Some people work best by chunking things down. But make sure that your calendar is set up and blocked off. And you can use a program like Calendly. I use Acuity. I'm actually going to drop a link in here so you guys can go check that out. I can block off times in my schedule so that when I actually send somebody a calendar link to schedule with me, they cannot schedule at certain times. When I sign clients on, I move them to times that are best for me. My clients know as an expectation after 7 p.m., I generally don't respond back until the next day after 10 o'clock. So you see how this begins to work. You begin to actually structure and control your day. This is also going to kill the stress of fear of missing out because you're now in control of your schedule. The next thing is asking yourself this question: are you really serving? The mindset of thinking about this, of me serving myself and making sure that I'm taking care of myself, allows me to operate in the space of this is for others, not just for me, because they want me to be at my best. Why would I end up in a space where sometimes I felt like tasks were taking me 2 to 3 to 4 times longer when I had clarity and I was in the sweet spot of my energy to execute in the best part of my day? Also, I recognized when I wasn't doing my planning tomorrow today, I would feel chaos. I would feel like I was rushing from fire to fire, right? So are you serving? And the next thing is setting yourself up for success. The idea here is we want to set ourselves up the night before, just like a restaurant. If you've worked in a restaurant before, we had side work, which meant you were basically creating momentum as shifts closed. So think of this as closing your shift. You know, there's a lot of stuff on the internet that talks about making your bed in the morning. Don't leave dirty dishes in the sink. And why is that? Because we're taking cognitive strain off of our brain. One less closed or open browser for us to worry about taking up our cognitive space so that we can have clarity the following day. We can wake up, fall into our natural rhythm, and operate most effectively. So make sure you're getting your water. And the other thing too is planning your meals ahead. Planning your meals ahead allows you to make sure that you're also getting nourishment that you're gonna need while you're serving. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I forgot to eat and it would reflect in my work. So now I look at this. If I have a financial target and I don't take care of this first, this is the first decision that I make, then I'm out of control to go towards my financial target and I'm gonna struggle getting there, right? So take care of these things here and make sure that you're planning your day. Planning tomorrow today, the ABC of IPA is super crucial, and having your morning and your evening routine. A couple tips in here. Stay away in this space, in your evening routine, away from your cell phone, your laptops. They give off blue lights, and it totally throws off your melatonin production, which is your sleep chemical neurotransmitter that helps you sleep, right? Especially first thing in the morning, don't try to look at your phone. You don't want to get inundated to other things. The other thing is, go on a news fast. Stay away from news. You don't need to know any of that stuff right now. The other thing is, and I obviously have it material in here, is stay away from any other groups or other social media platforms that have nothing to do with you growing your business, right? If it doesn't impact your bank account, there's no reason for you to be in there. You're gonna narrow your focus, right? So this is super, super important here. So I wanna make sure. So mastering your schedule here is crucial. Now, when we talk about days, right? We just talked about the day, the perfect day for us. A couple things to consider is when you're most creative and what your days look like. So I have a set schedule that looks like this weekly. So I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I have Sunday over here, right? So my schedule looks like this. Mondays for me are straight up blacked out because it's content creation day, because we have a couple different businesses and we're creating content in advance for a few months. Tuesday is my service day. So I see all of my in-person clients or via Zoom on Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, bad time for me to meet with new clients. Wednesdays, oftentimes, are a rest day for me, and I'll also get some connections in there too. Connecting with new people. Because I serve all day Wednesday, I'm typically a little bit burnt out Wednesday. So I want to rest and recover so that when Thursday comes, Thursday is a great day for content ideas without filming or anything like that, and then also connection. And my set targets for my connections, follow-ups, A-level activity is caught up on Thursdays. And then Friday is another service day because I do workshops. And then there's also some connection in here as well. I limitedly work on Saturday and Sunday because this is my time for myself and my family. So I typically like to work really 3 days out of the week. Now, still, it's subject to change if there's some things that need to get done. But I'm looking to eliminate things that don't serve a purpose into my plan. While many people are adding on complexity, my focus is, can I automate, delegate, or eliminate something? And is it truly gonna move the needle forward in my income or impact? So those are some crucial factors to take a look at. So that's it for now. Hopefully you guys take a look at your day. Again, this is gonna be something you're gonna be looking at. I'm still doing this work every single couple weeks because I want to make sure that I'm maximizing. I'm looking to optimize this as much as possible. How can I grow my capacity and serve from the highest level of my gift? So hopefully this gave you a great strategy. Make sure you guys take a look at your schedules, knock those out before we start adding complexity into your schedule. And if you have any questions, of course, let me know in the Facebook group. and I'll be more than happy to go through that with you in the group. Until next time, I'll talk to y'all soon.